Are you struggling to conceive? You have options, and at Piedmont Reproductive Endocrinology Group, we'll make sure you have the guidance and support you need. PREG is known for individualized fertility care that's unique to every patient. We take the time to provide a reassuring and empowering experience because we believe that you deserve nothing less. Let us help you on your journey to parenthood. Visit us at pregonline.com to learn more. Get the guidance and support you need at Piedmont Reproductive Endocrinology Group.
You're joining me this evening, and
yeah, I'm really happy to be here.
Absolutely. Wow. You got such a great social media presence. That's how I stumbled on you. It's just that really is. That's gold when you can get more eyes and ears on your product.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely. So here you are. Are you in New Jersey?
I am, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. We're up in New Jersey.
We're in Bergen County. It's kind of close to New York. They're pretty close to New York. We still might be 3 hours away depending on traffic, but we're pretty close.
How is the traffic these days between there and New York?
It's probably a little better now because more people are staying home. I haven't been there in a while. You know, we've been kind of staying in. You know, everything hasn't been great around this area because we're so populated. So especially in the beginning, we were having a lot of trouble with the virus and everything. But you know, I guess it depends on the time of day. You know, if you're going during rush hour, it's a little more rough than, you know, 10 on a Tuesday or whatever.
I would imagine, yeah. So growing up in New Jersey, this is awesome. So obviously one of your biggest influences has to be Bruce Springsteen.
For sure, yeah. You know, it's funny. Well, the way I got into music was through Tom Petty. When I was 3, he played the Super Bowl halftime show with the Heartbreakers, and so you know, I was just mesmerized by that. My parents let me stay up for half the game or whatever. So you know, when I played guitar, you know, I started playing. The first 20 songs I learned were Petty or whatever, and you know, then I learned some Beatles or whatever. And playing out in New Jersey, it was just like everyone was like, "Well, can I have Springsteen? Oh, you're from Jersey. Can I hear some Springsteen?" And so reluctantly, finally, one day I learned some Springsteen, and I've been a big fan ever since. So I'm glad that it's like a law in New Jersey to learn some Springsteen. But it's actually kind of funny. I learned one song. I learned "No Surrender," and I put it on Facebook, and I was really surprised by the amazing response for it. And so anyway, this guy contacted me and said, "Oh, I want to fly you out to England and have you play this kind of Bruce Springsteen weekend." And so after we realized that wasn't actually a scam, which we assumed it was because I was like 12 or 13 at the time, I decided to go. And he goes, "Okay, so then you'll play two-hour sets of Springsteen music." And I knew one song, so I was like, "Oh shoot!" So I really got to learning, and so I really dove headfirst into the deep end there, and I kind of learned how to swim, you know. But I'm really happy I did because I found so much great music.
Yeah, it is. You hear New Jersey music, it equals Springsteen. So it's kind of like you're in that box.
Exactly.
Yeah, but Tom Petty, and you stumbled on him, and what a great volume of material there is to stumble on. That must have been a lot of fun learning a lot of his songs.
Yeah, for sure. Especially because he and Mike Campbell, who's his lead guitarist, and you know, one thing that I find so impressive with them is that they're able to say so much with so little. You know, his songs, like on one hand, they're in a lot of ways, especially you know some of his bigger hits, they're almost so simple they're complicated in a way. Like you know, "I Won't Back Down." Like, there's not too many lyrics in that song. You know, it's almost just a repetition, but you know, because of that, he's able to say a lot. So I brought that one up because that's the first song I learned, and there's only a couple chords. But, you know, that's pretty much how I learned how to play guitar is because I learned mainly off YouTube in the beginning. But the way I learned chords was saying, I want to learn "I Won't Back Down," right? And so, you know, I would look that up, and then that would be an E minor chord, a G chord, a C chord. And, okay, so now I know those chords. And now I want to learn "American Girl." And then that used some of those chords, but it added an A. Right, and so that's kind of how I started learning. So I appreciate that some of his songs, like, I guess technically the guitar parts, it's not like they're ridiculously hard, but when the band comes together, it really just starts to sound great.
Oh, what a great ensemble. So growing up in Jersey, how did you stumble on music? What was your first memories of getting into it and starting the whole interest?
Well, my first memory was of it was at the Super Bowl halftime show. Like I said, I watched that on TV. My parents let me stay up for half of it. Maybe they thought I'd get into sports. That didn't really happen. But so I was I remember being mesmerized by that, and so that's what really got me into liking music. I wouldn't pick up a guitar for a couple of years later, but that's really how it started. And those were the days of I guess the earlier days of YouTube. It was like 2008, so I guess it had been around for like a couple of years before that. But with that, it could recommend other musicians to me, because they're always trying to keep you on the app and recommending videos. So I would look up Tom Petty and I'd watch Tom Petty videos, and then that would recommend George Harrison, and then the Traveling Wilburys and the Beatles and Eric Clapton and all these. So that's really how I started to like the music I like.
Amazing. So that was basically your like a lot of the baby boomers and the ones who were a little bit younger than the baby boomers, their big moment was the Ed Sullivan Show back in 1964. The Beatles came in, and it was like, that was their moment. So your moment was Petty at the Super Bowl, which was just incredible to even see that. They started getting the more legacy artists to perform at the halftime shows. So that was it's really interesting to hear that was a huge influence and started your whole career at a young age. So this is really this is more than half your life that you've been doing this when you're talking about that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the Heartbreakers and all the people I mentioned, but the Heartbreakers especially have been probably one of my favorite bands, if not my favorite band since I was 3, so they've been a huge part of my life and that type of music.
So how did songwriting start for you? Obviously Petty was your influence and everything. How did you learn the craft of songwriting? Was this just about like listening to a lot of music, just getting online, and you didn't have any formal training in any of this, did you?
No, but I guess all the training I had was just listening to so many amazing singer-songwriters and just trying to figure out what they do and why, and try to just absorb any information I can from anywhere. And so, it's always, especially because I like Americana a lot too. And so, that John Prine, John Hyatt, all those people, they're like, that's just like a masterclass in songwriting, just especially if you listen to a whole album. But, so it was really that type of stuff that got me into it. And, just trying to take advice from as many people I can. One of the things that really helps me now with my songwriting is advice I got from Bruce Petty, Tom's brother, about what Tom used to do. And it was, he told me that Tom used to carry around a notebook, and when he heard people say interesting things, he would just write it down, and then later he'd look at it and say, oh, how can I turn this into a song title or whatever? And so he told me about that, and so that day I started I downloaded a notes app on my phone. And so now, I try my best to keep listening, to people and doing anything I can to really just find interesting things that I hear throughout the day and write about them if I can.
Yeah, that's really, really incredible. So what was your first guitar? Everybody remembers their first instrument. Mm-hmm. and how you learned how to use that. You were saying you were watching YouTube tutorials.
Yeah, it's a funny story on how I got my first guitar. My father has a friend, and his son is very good at guitar. And when I was very, very young, he gave me this little Squier Stratocaster, and I didn't know how to play it, but it made noise, and so 3-year-old me or 4-year-old me was just happy about that. And I never really picked it up after that. It just kind of sat in a corner. And after my father's friend's son started to get better at guitar, and they decided, well, maybe it would be good if we had his first guitar for sentimental reasons. So they wanted it back, but they felt really bad about taking this guitar away from me, even though I didn't really care. I wasn't really using it, and this was when I was around 9. But they felt so bad that they replaced it with an Epiphone SG. And it was just, it was too nice a guitar to have and not learn how to play. So when I got that guitar, I really started learning how to play. And he gave me my very first few lessons, just like simple, like these are what the strings are, and this is how you tune it and everything. So I don't really use a guitar too much now, but it's in this is my music room, but it's in my bedroom. I'm an only child, so I'm lucky enough to have 2 rooms, but it's in my bedroom, kind of over my bed, as almost as a display. But I bring it down a lot and write a lot of songs on that too.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of the reviews, and they're saying your songwriting is reminiscent of Jackson Brown, or at least your singing style is as well. And you're the quote is you're always wise beyond your years. Uh, and I really do see, I hear that quality in the latest release. You want to talk about that? It's called Down the Line, and it's just a really spectacular album. It just really it really does remind me of that early Jackson Brown era, and something that harkens back to the early 70s. How did that impact you? Did you stumble on a lot of early 70s material that inspired you with this latest release?
Yeah, it's interesting because I feel like for a while people have kind of been making some Jackson Brown comparisons to my writing and to my voice. But I was never in my younger years, of writing, too familiar with his work. I knew Running on Empty and Doctor My Eyes, and I kind of knew Somebody's Baby, so I didn't really know too much, and I wasn't, I guess, too interested or whatever. But one day I was talking to Dana Petty, Tom's wife, and she asked if I would learn Barricades of Heaven, which is a song he released on an album called Looking East, I think. Yeah, Looking East. And that just made me really fall in love with his music because it's kind of an obscure track. That's not necessarily one he pulls out every concert or whatever. But that really got me to really look at his writing and start listening to him. And so I learned that, and then I started learning a bunch more. And, he's been a really huge influence on this record, mainly because I did the record all at home, and all the instruments, were played by me. So, there's no drums on it. Every once in a while there's like a shaker somewhere, but, there's just very, very minor percussion, if at all. And so I thought, he's released acoustic albums before, and so I used him almost as like a basis for, what that sound, how it could work. And so he was a big influence on that, same as John Hyatt too, because he plays solo a lot. But even though I write the songs all solo, I'm not writing them with a band. I don't have a band or anything. A lot of times, sometimes I'll picture stuff behind me, like drums or whatever, like, oh, that's how this would sound. And so putting it in and hearing the acoustic track with the bass track and the guitar track, but no drums, sometimes the song sounded empty and I didn't like them as much. So I really started to have to kind of take it back and strip away stuff and just really just find the song. And so I kind of looked at how Jackson and artists like that do it.
So you have been COVID producing ready even before this started. It seems like you don't have to deal with a band, so you were able to produce this all on your own. How were you able to learn the technicalities of recording an album? Was that something that came naturally to you as well?
I suppose I kind of did it. It's interesting. I didn't use any computers for this record. It was all through a soundboard. I got it. I invested in a new soundboard to do this project, and it's a soundboard that can it can overdub and record, and you can produce and master the songs right on that. And so I guess for me it was a pretty easy process. The biggest task was arranging the songs and figuring out. It's funny because when I started this, I really was not a bass player. I could do the root notes. That's about it. But as I started to write bass parts and look at it, I was like, oh, I really should start practicing. So I took a couple weeks and I really just focused on that. And so, after all the songs were arranged and everything, once I got them in and a track I was comfortable with into the board, I was able to do that and then drag it into the computer and put it in Drive or whatever. But so yeah, I didn't use any computers other than literally just to give the songs a folder, but so I guess I did it in a pretty simple way, I guess almost analog. But yeah, I mean, it was definitely interesting to try this. I had never really done it. I had never really done overdubbing and adding new tracks to this extent.
And all from your house in New Jersey, or your family's house in New Jersey.
Yeah, all in this room pretty much. Other than the vocals, I brought the vocals upstairs in my bedroom, and I sang in my closet. That way, the sound could get absorbed a little better.
When I do overdub tracks, yeah, the closet has the best acoustics. If you really
Exactly.
want to track,
I tried putting blankets in this room. I put like a comforter over these guitars, and because I noticed, I mean, you can't really hear it because I'm going right into the mic, but if I start to yell, you hear a little bit of a guitar vibrating over there, all these guitars, and so especially the ones that are hanging on the wall, they kind of make the whole room, so especially the acoustics. So you can kind of hear that in the background of the vocal track. So I said, oh no. So I went upstairs and did it up there.
Nobody would have ever thought that an artist like this, I mean, if you told Jackson Browne this stuff 50 years ago, they'd be like, what? People could do this in 50 years, people will be able to do this from their suburban New Jersey house and put good music out to the world. It was never even imaginable if you talk to those legacy artists. It's, wow. I'm really amazed. This is just a great release, and it's a collection of just really special songs. What song was the most challenging for you to write and record for the project?
That's a tough one. Kind of a two-part answer. The one that was toughest for me to write was one I'm actually might be right now. It's my favorite on there. All of these songs were my favorite at one point, which is why they're on the record. But the one that's my favorite right now is "Lines on the Road." That's the one I'm kind of using as like the single, But it was interesting. This song, usually I'm able to write my songs relatively quick, and then I'll edit them the next day or whatever. But I can do it, usually within like an hour or two. I have like what I want, and then I can kind of fix whatever I need to. But "Lines on the Road," I wrote it. And I wrote it again the next month. And overall, from start to finish, it took like 5 months. And I wasn't working on it every day or anything like that, but it took like 2 months of writing and rewrites or whatever, and then just 3 months of never looking at it again. And then one of the songs I had, because I knew I wanted 12 songs, and one of the songs just wasn't working because I felt like it needed drums or something I couldn't do here. So I cut it from the record, and I needed another one. So I said, fine, I'll look at that other stupid song one more time. And that's where it all kind of clicked. So that was probably the hardest to write. Although once I found, basically what happened was I had those first two verses exactly how they are on the record, and I just couldn't proceed from there. Like nothing was coming, nothing, because I think after those two, you can kind of take it in a positive or a negative direction. I couldn't pick one. I didn't know. So finally, once that kind of clicked, I was able to write it. But I was able to record that one pretty easy. One that I had trouble recording was a song called Enigma Man, because that's one that, even though I've never played it with a band, I always kind of pictured a band behind it. So hearing it without the big drums and like the electric guitar and all that stuff really almost sounded just empty and a little disappointing. So I had to really slow it down and really work it out how an acoustic version would sound. And so that was a trial and error that took a couple takes.
Here you've recorded a huge project like this, and you're still going to school. How do you balance all of that out?
Well, I really like school as well. So, it's never been too much of like an eye roll to go to school. I don't always like waking up early, but I don't mind being in school, and my school is a really great music program as well. And so I'm really grateful for that. And really all of the teachers, whether they're a music teacher or not, love music and are supportive. And I have teachers that request songs for me. They follow me on whatever. So, for me, I find it relatively easy to balance because I like both of the things. As for recording, this year I kind of took advantage of the minimal schedule because we're all doing virtual. And so, like, for example, my days kind of end at like 12 now because it's all virtual, so that, how can they bring everyone else back after lunch or whatever? We're supposed to do like independent learning. So
at Grainger, we're for the ones who specialize in saving the day and for the ones who've mastered the art of keeping business moving. We offer industrial-grade supplies for every industry with same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders, all backed by real people ready to help. So you can get the right answers and products right when you need them. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Okay, round two. Name something that's not boring.
A laundry? Ooh, a book club. Computer solitaire, huh?
Sorry, we were looking for Chumba Casino. That's right. ChumbaCasino.com has over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
If I'm able to get my homework done relatively quick, which I usually am, then I just right into recording and I can do it.
Yeah. So it sounds like you have that discipline as being a student. So that gives you that discipline to really just like, do you write songs every day, every week? Is it just something that are you constantly jotting down with the notebook and?
Yeah, I am constantly jotting down stuff in that like ideas folder I have. I don't really write. I go through phases. Sometimes I'm pumping out a song every day. Sometimes it's like once a week, and sometimes it's all just ideas. Sometimes I'll start 3 songs in a day and I don't finish them for a month or whatever. And each song, kind of comes different. Some I write in like 5 minutes and I'm like, wow, I can't believe that happened, and then I'll go play the guitar and I'll be like, oh, no, this doesn't work. And then the next day it's 10 more minutes and then I kind of find it or whatever. So, I wouldn't say there's any sort of consistent schedule I take for the songwriting, but there's always, or another thing I like to do is I love to study set lists and things like that, and I'm a huge concert fan. I used to go whenever I could. I know they don't really exist anymore, but hopefully soon they will again. So I'll always think like, oh, okay, well, when I saw Bruce, he started with this. Why did he start with this? And why don't I have a song that sounds like that? I need a song I can start with when I, play a show or whatever. So then I'll be like, oh, okay, well, let me think of how I can write a song like that. And then that really gets me going and I can write a song like that. So it all depends on whether an idea comes or I'm just staring at a blank page. And I do really like doing both of those things.
So how much live performing did you do before COVID hit?
Oh, I did a lot. I really liked being busy. And I did a lot of private parties. Especially during the wintertime. And then in the summer, I was, I used to play out a lot, at bars, and even, I would, October was always a busy month for me because I'm tied in with some of the Petty fans. And, his birthday is in October. So, that's when they have a festival in Gainesville. I really like, I played a couple years ago and I want to get back as soon as I can. And we did something in LA last year with the Heartbreakers, so that was really cool. So it's always busy and I have a great time, but I used to play probably, especially in the summer, like 3 or 4 times a week, depending on, what was going on.
So you're pretty close with the Petty estate. You speak with family members and band members as well. Yeah.
They've all, I'm really just so appreciative of their support. It really means the world, and they're such a nice, group of people. Tom, it was funny, in 2016 for Christmas, I was supposed to get a fan was nice enough to send me a little gift. It was a Tom Petty fan, and she sent over a gift, and so I was expecting that in the mail. And so the day before Christmas Eve, something came in Tom Petty wrapping paper. And it said, to Jake from Santa, don't open till Christmas. And so, of course, being a 13-year-old or whatever, I opened it immediately. But although I would do that now too. So, but it wasn't from the fan. It was from Tom, and it was 2 front row tickets to his show, which ended up being his last tour. And here, I can grab it real quick. It's, oh, yeah. So this is his album Mojo, a signed copy of that. And wow. And it was just a really nice letter from his management, and it just meant the world. And that was a great show, and I got to go back and meet the Heartbreakers. I didn't get to meet Tom because he wasn't feeling well. He was sick that tour. But Mike Campbell I talked to for a long time, his lead guitarist, because I do a lot of work for his charity Rock the Dogs, which is kind of another way. He kind of knew about me. And behind me is a shirt, actually. It says, "Thank you, Jake," on it. And that was a shirt he gave me. and it's signed by all the Heartbreakers, and Tom signed it, I think, twice or three times, and that's for the work I do with Rock the Dogs, and so that really just meant the world. And they're all super nice. And then the next year after that, now this has been after Tom passed. We did a festival in Gainesville, his hometown, and for a bunch of Tom Petty fans, and that really meant the world. And that's where I got to meet Bruce Petty, Tom's brother. And he really, I met the whole Petty family down there, his daughters and his granddaughters and everything like that. But they're all very nice. But Bruce and his wife Beth, they're just like some of the nicest people ever. Really, they're just. Actually, when he found out how much that Super Bowl show meant to me, he gave me his ticket from that Super Bowl, and so that's kind of behind me too, next to the shirt. But that really means the world, and I still talk to him a lot. I was talking to him the other day, and he's just amazing and such a nice guy. And then the year after that is when I played with Steve Ferrone and Ron Blair from the Heartbreakers, and a bunch of other really cool musicians out there. Roy Orbison's two sons, Alex and Roy Jr., and Chris Stills, Stephen Stills' son, and so many other amazing. Jim Keltner, who's like basically everybody's drummer, yeah, it's just it really means the world. All of them are so supportive and nice, and of course I've talked to Dana Petty, Tom's wife. She's the one that requested the Jackson Browne song, and just means the world.
It's so hard to believe that Tom Petty has been gone this long, and I'm one of those people. I grew up, I remember very well. Damn the Torpedoes came out, and just everything from there on. It's really weird. I think I heard Howard Stern not too long ago saying, I just can't believe he's gone. It's so surreal in a way. The type of fans that are, I mean, they're very dedicated, and especially the reception for the new Wildflowers re-release was just phenomenal from what I saw. Did you get a hold of that and listen to that all the way through?
I did, yeah. Wildflowers is one of my favorite albums of all time, for sure. The original one, and I like the new releases too. Because I am a really big Americana fan, and so even though I like all of his catalog and Bruce Springsteen's catalog and everything, I really gravitate towards the Americana side of things, and so Wildflowers is really fits into that. And for Springsteen, like The Ghost of Tom Joad and even Western Stars that came out last year, I guess. So yeah, Wildflowers is one of my favorites, and so I was really excited for that. And it never happened, but I was really excited for Tom wanted to release this and do kind of a smaller tour, a more intimate tour, and so I would have really, really liked to have seen that. So I was excited for that, back when I thought it might have been a possibility. And but yeah, I was really excited to see it come out and hear some new stuff. Yeah.
So dealing with the keyboard, when did you pick up doing the keyboard? How easy or hard was it to get on that and learn it from after being on guitar?
Well, originally I took to it pretty easy, but I wasn't very good. I learned it, but I didn't really play it. And that's because, I know guitar, so I kind of know how notes work, and I can kind of figure things out in chords. So what I used to do is I used to just kind of, everything was very, just claws and, just... Sure. And then my school actually has a piano lab class where you learn how to play piano. And so... what it is, you have a book and you learn Mary Had a Little Lamb and Twinkle Twinkle Little Star and stuff like that. But I was able to, just because of, my knowledge about guitar and stuff, I was able to kind of go through that pretty quick, which was lucky. And then once I finished the book, I still had more of the class to go. So then I can kind of just learn what I wanted to. So I learned how to play Summer Highland Falls by Billy Joel. And that really helped me kind of open up, because that's not the right hand is not chords. It's it's all, and there's no, and even this hand, it's not the same. It involves some independence between the, so, that really helped me kind of break out of that box. And now, of course, I play it a lot more, and the more I play it, the more comfortable I am. And it also helps that now I am listening to a lot of, Jackson Browne. And and he plays a lot. And I saw Springsteen on Broadway, and he played piano there really well. And so listening to some of my favorites do that and kind of doing what they do, or trying at least, really helped me kind of break into playing piano more. And now I would say I'm probably about 50-50 with guitar and piano.
That's fantastic. Wow. And Bruce himself did very homemade Nebraska. So straight from that. I'm probably far lesser equipment than what you have today. And
yeah, for sure. I mean, just demo tapes. I say demo tape just because it's a phrase, but like he really had demo tapes, But I love that. I mean, a lot of songs in that are great, but Atlantic City is just one that sticks out. It's funny because I love that album version, and I love that live version, and I love the version with like Tom Morello, and like there's a couple different versions out there floating around that I just really love. And I guess the main version with Tom Morello, I think of as Ghost of Tom Joad, but I think there's one with Atlantic City too. They did in London, I don't remember, but it doesn't matter. But a version, just his solo on that is pretty cool. And so yeah, the live version that's kind of slow, and the faster acoustic version, it's just such a great song.
So with your songwriting, what kind are you basing it on? Your experiences, your observations? Is a little of both, just being at the age that you're at?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I try to just learn and listen as much as I can to everything. I like history a lot too, and everything like that. So, once I can kind of think of a theme, I can kind of put myself in a character, and I'm sure a lot of those characters are have a lot of parts of me. But I try to, once I've written the song, I try to really separate myself from the character and think, okay, can this character work independently if you take me out of the equation? Because if it doesn't work independently, then it wouldn't work when you hear it or anyone else. So I try to make sure that every character in the song, and I will say that every song is an independent character. I don't think any song, at least yet, is just about me. But I do try to make sure that every character in the song, even if it's like in first person, works with everyone, or at least as many people as it can.
So like every song of yours is definitely one of your babies, if you experience that. So out of your entire catalog, could you pick one or two that you say are one of your favorite babies, or basically they're all equal?
Oh, that's a tough one. Each one, I like for different reasons or whatever. Lines on the Road, like I said, is one of my favorites. That's my favorite right now, but I go through phases. One song I like is a song called Trying Again. And one of the reasons I like that so much is because I wrote that when I was like 12. It was one of the earliest songs that I wrote that's on this album, but it's been through so many rewrites. And I thought it was the first looking back, I think the first version I wrote when I was 12 was actually pretty good. And then a couple of years later, I revised it, and then I revised it again. And I didn't like those revisions as much. So when I was writing it again for the album, I did it, and I didn't like it, and I had every other song recorded, and I didn't like this song. So I quick wrote down in one night, I rewrote the song. And I think the problem I was facing was from that original version, everything had just been rewrites, like crossing out lines and putting new lines in, but keeping the song. And so when I didn't like what I had recorded, I just ripped it out, started a new page, and just wrote a new song. And then I kind of just combined what I liked from both of those into a new song. And so that really started that song that's on the record, and I recorded it very soon after. So I like that song because I'm proud of being able to kind of, bring it back from the dead almost, And so that's why I like that song, and I'm glad I stuck with it over the 4 years since I wrote that original version that probably isn't even recognizable anymore. So that's definitely something. And but yeah, Lines on the Road right now is my favorite just because of the song, as opposed to the story behind it, Although if we are going based on, now I'm really starting to I'm going to end up naming them all if I keep going. But the Tiki Bar is open, My Tiki Bar is Always Open is one of my favorites too, because of the story behind that. And that's I'm a big John Hyatt fan, and he has an album called The Tiki Bar is Open. And so that's almost like almost a little wink at him. But that's just because I was the story behind that is kind of cool because I was in Asbury Park in January. I wrote that actually the day I saw Springsteen play at the Paramount, but I didn't know I was going to see him yet. That was a really last minute thing. We just knew he was going to be there. We heard his sound check actually on the boardwalk. And anyway, it was winter and it was really snowy on the boardwalk. And I'd never seen that before. And there was a little tiki bar next to the pool, or where the pool would be in the hotel. It was not in operation in January, but and I'd never really seen a tiki bar with snow on the roof. It's not something I had pictured. So I started writing this song, and then I was wondering what I should call it and how the chorus should go, and I thought of The Tiki Bar is Open. And so My Tiki Bar is Always Open is just kind of a wink at John Hyatt, but I like that song for the story too.
Yeah, great tunes. Would you care to do either a snippet or a full song from your new release? Obviously, your gem on there is Lines on the Road.
Sure.
Just I mean, as much as you want. You can do the entire song, or just as much as you'd like.
Sure, I'll do the whole thing if that's all right with you.
Sounds fine. This is
all right.
Go for it.
It's a fun one. I've never done this one on piano, so I'm looking forward to it. Well, I'm hypnotized by the lines rushing by on the road, measuring the time in songs, feeling the highway below. I'm not worried about figuring out my life. No one ever seems to make it out alive. No, I'm just seeing how long I can survive. Well, the news reports hell, 'cause that's what sells on the TV. I tuned it out so long ago. Yeah, it just wasn't fooling me, 'cause it's the same sad story told a different way to fill time between the commercials they play. Yeah, well, I'd rather be hypnotized by the lines on the highway. And I'm living on the road to get away from it all, hoping we're not too far gone, and keep my distance from the parts of the world that don't belong. When I'm hypnotized by the lines on the road, keeping time in song. People got something to share, but I just don't care what they're thinking. Their ideas are bad, or even worse, it just depends on what they're drinking. They'll tell you how to live, but they don't have a clue, and they'll say they know it better than you. Well, tell you life's so short when it's the longest thing they ever do.
Judy was boring.
Hello.
Then Judy discovered ChumbaCasino.com.
It's my little escape.
Now Judy's the life of the party.
Oh, baby, mama's bringing home the bacon.
Whoa, take it easy, Judy. The Chumba life is for everybody. So go to ChumbaCasino.com and play over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
With the Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
This is your captain speaking. We've got clear runway and the weather's fine, but we're just going to circle up here a while and get lucky. No, nothing like that. It's just these cash prizes add up quick. So I suggest you sit back, keep your tray table upright, and start getting lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
I'm living on the road keeping time in song. Well, the days don't last, so the world goes fast asleep. The cars drain off the road until it's just the highway and me. I watch a lined open road as I drive, wonder where I'm gonna ride. I'm not worried about figuring out my life. No one ever seems to make it out alive. No, and I'm still seeing how long I can survive. And I'm living on the road to get away from it all, hoping we're not too far gone, and keep my distance from the parts of the world that don't belong. When I'm hypnotized by the lines on the road and keeping time in song. I'm hypnotized by the lines rushing by on the road.
Amazing.
Thank you so much. That's the first time I've done that one on piano, so I was glad to kind of do a different version.
It is definitely your own, a real serious original off this wonderful release. And I encourage everybody to get this through your website.
Yeah, JakeThistle.com is where you can check it out.
It really does. It conjures up so much of Jackson Browne for me. And I know people don't like to do the comparison thing and everything, but it just, that goes back to my youth. I remember Lawyers in Love and all those wonderful songs. It just really does. And I think that's why a lot of people respond to you doing the petty work, because it's woven into the fabric of the country, and people really do relate to that. It's a very emotional thing.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. Thank you. It is. I'm glad people can kind of listen to it and think of some cool American artists, because I was actually thinking about it recently. I was thinking how much I really love the country, and by that I mean like the literal country, like the land. Like I think about it like, I mean, being here in New Jersey, it's not a very big state, but you can go so many different places. We have beaches, cities, mountains, farms and stuff. But, even beyond there, like, when I lucky enough to get to travel, to different places, whether it's, just around the corner to New York City or down in Florida, which we drove down to Florida for that gig. So it was great to see, some of the Carolinas and Virginia and stuff like that. Or when we flew out to LA and, from the plane, we saw the Vegas Strip, and, we got there, and it was just really cool. And, to see, just the land of it all. And so, I that's why I think I'm so drawn to those, Americana artists that, and, just the American artists, I guess, but, that Americana style of music and things like that.
Yeah, completely shows. And they seem to be fascinated with you all over the world. Wasn't there a German magazine that had just profiled you recently?
Yeah, that's a cool magazine. It's The Wish. And I was on that a couple years ago too, for an interview, which was kind of released around the promotion for the gig I did in England for that Springsteen weekend. But this one was a really cool one, and I'm so grateful. They asked me, and I would in that article or in the magazine, I was in the presence of Patty and Nils and little Steven, and so. Some of the E Street Band, in a magazine that I'm in is really an honor, of course. And so I'm so happy, I got to do something with them.
Oh, Nils Lofgren. I've seen Springsteen about 4 times. I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio, where Springsteen was also thought of as God. So I saw the Born in the USA show back in 85. So that's over 35 years ago. And then saw Nils with them in 08. And his guitar work is just incredible. It's fascinating to see that live. I hope we can get back to the live shows. I hope you can get to see Bruce Springsteen again.
Oh, for sure, yeah. I've seen him, I guess technically 3 times now, because I saw him at the Paramount for a Light of Day show that he did there. I did a couple gigs. I'm kind of too far from Asbury Park to drive up and down a bunch of times. So I had a gig for Light of Day on a Saturday, and then Sunday I had another gig for Light of Day at the Pony. So we just stayed overnight, and we were eating dinner, and we heard Darkness on the Edge of Town on the radio, but it sounded like a live version or something like that, and then it stopped, and it started again, and we realized he was just sound checking next door, and we could just hear it. So we said, okay, so we'll find some tickets. And so we went, and we saw him, and it was great. So that's technically the 3rd time, and the 2nd time was on Broadway. A fan of the page was actually nice enough to send me tickets to that, which just, meant the world. And we went, and it was amazing. But the first time I saw him was at MetLife, and so seeing him, where the Giants play, and that's like in New Jersey, the Bruce experience, getting to see that. So I was really glad I did. But that's the only time I really saw him with the E Street Band. So I'm hoping to get to see him again.
Let's hope. That new release is fantastic too.
Oh yeah, for sure. I just did for every week I have a piano Saturday and an acoustic Sunday, and so this week's piano Saturday was a slow version of Janie Needs a Shooter, which is I think my favorite off that record, but there's a lot of great ones.
There's something mesmerizing about Ghosts. And he did that on Saturday Night Live recently.
That was really cool.
Amazing. Well, I hope we get to see you on Saturday Night Live.
I appreciate it.
That would be really amazing. So other artists that are really inspirational to you, I see in the background there. So Eric Clapton, what about Eric Clapton does he do that inspires you?
Well, one thing, Eric Clapton certainly inspires me to get a little better at guitar because, he's his own lead guitarist and lead singer. And that's not something, Bruce is very good at guitar, but, when he doesn't have to be, he is Nils, or Little Steven. And, Tom Petty has a Mike Campbell, and so many of these things, Jackson Browne, he plays with so many amazing, like lap steel players, like he plays with David Lindley, and Greg Leese and Val McCallum and all these people he's played with for a really long time. And, they're the guitar players, but, with Eric Clapton, he's the one doing the guitar stuff too. So when I get to watch him, it's really cool. And it makes sure that I don't ever stop. I make sure I'm still working on guitar because, if I'm not paying attention, I could accidentally slip into just writing songs or just putting out videos or whatever. And I'm no longer, trying to exercise my guitar chops because, I can do, I solo a lot and I like to play and I jam with bands and I play a lot of blues songs and I solo a ton, but there's always so much room to get better. And so, people like Eric Clapton and Stevie Ray Vaughan and all those types of guys, I really like to listen to because, they're doing both. And so it helps me just try to get better at both,
Yeah, there's another one. I saw Stevie Ray Vaughan in college and what an amazing show. It's just, I'm just so thankful that I got to see him.
Yeah.
That technique was just incredible. Another mesmerizing performance.
Yeah.
Gosh. So what else on this album would you like to play? The title track sounds kind of
sure
as well. I'd love to hear that. Down the Line.
All right. This one's in the same key as the other one. All right. Here it is. I thought the faster I went, the faster things would be improving. Yeah, but I wasn't moving forward. No, I was just moving. I'm glad my fire didn't burn out, but it sure was cool. I don't know who I was fooling. Then I followed you down the line, in my arms in the fire where they all forge and play. I come to you every time. Oh, I need a good match to help me light the way. Yeah, every time I try to stand tall, my shadow is looming. Every time I played myself, well, I was just losing. Every time I turned my head, my screws would loose. It's just a blur of confusion. Then I followed you down the line, in my arms in the fire where they all forge and play. Come to you every time. Oh, I need a good match to help me light the way. When I had to decide, I wasn't happy with my choosing. I'd be running down some dream without knowing what I was really pursuing. So don't ever say goodbye, 'cause I'm not good at concluding. Besides, I'd be ruined. And I followed you down the line, in my arms in the fire where they all forged and played. I come to you every time. Oh, I need a good match to help me light the way. Yeah, when the darkness rolls in and takes over for the day. Oh, I need a good match to help me light the way.
That's the title track from the latest release, Jake Thistle. This has been described, this release, as, I think American Songwriter said it was hope, uncertainty, and optimism. That kind of sounds almost like it's a range of emotions and thoughts.
Yeah, I think that's just, that's this year, you know, for me at least. You know, it seems like, you know, especially, you know, in New Jersey, you know, even if you just look alone at the virus situation, like it was really bad in March and April, you know, and then it got kind of better, and then it was worse and better, and now it's, you know, worse again, and then, you know, you never know. So, you know, I think certainly, you know, with the worst of times, you know, certainly comes with a whole lot of hope and a whole lot of uncertainty and a whole lot of optimism and just whatever you can bring with it. So I think especially, and I think even the songs I had written prior to all of this, because most of the songs Lines on the Road and a song called Frontier of Time were the only two I wrote specifically for this record. The other ones I'd written previously, and because I write a lot, so I narrowed it down to like 30, and then I narrowed it down to 12. And then from that 12, I recorded them, and then I cut 2 because they weren't working with the rest of the songs. And so that's why I wrote those 2. But even the ones that were written before all of this happened, I think a lot of these times are still reflected in them in the way I recorded them or any rewrites I might have done. And I think they, for me at least, they represent, what's going on.
So how does your family feel about all of this work that you're doing, and how supportive have they been? Obviously, they've helped with getting all the equipment and everything. But
well, they help me. They help drive me to the gigs where I get the money to buy the equipment. So, I make sure I buy all my stuff with my own money, just to make sure I don't want to start out with any loans, but anything like that. But, so I guess they're indirectly responsible for the equipment because I don't have my driver's license yet. But I guess hopefully soon. But anyway, yeah, they've been very supportive, and I really appreciate it. And they're willing to hear me. Like I said, this whole album was a trial and error, so they're willing to hear me, sing a song down here twice and then sing it up there twice and try to see which room worked better and everything like that. So they did, I don't know, they told me they didn't mind. I don't know, but
What do your parents do for a living and up there in New Jersey?
My mom is a teacher. And my dad he has his master's in English, and he's a communications manager.
Very good.
So we're an English, family. That's why I like to write so much. I'm not going to be writing any songs about pre-calc or anything like that. That's what I'm taking in school this year. But I've always consistently, my whole, my school has honor roll and high honor roll. And you get high honor roll when you get straight A's or above. Like straight A's or straight A pluses. And then honor roll is when you can have like A minuses, A's, and then like 1B or whatever. And math is always the one that keeps me off high honor roll. It's always like, like 94s to 97s or something, and then like an 87, in math. So we're definitely not a math family, but we're an English oriented family.
Yeah, it's again like a lot of artists, being creative. Obviously, that's more of a right brain centric thing. But it sounds like you're doing, despite all that, you can handle the math as well. Calculus. Most of us never got that far. I don't think most musicians.
I can count to 4. That's all that matters for being a musician for the most part. So, at least in the music I play.
Like a lot of musicians of today, a lot of them don't read music. Do you read?
Okay, round 2. Name something that's not boring.
A laundry? Ooh, a book club. Computer solitaire, huh?
Sorry, we were looking for Chumba Casino. That's right. ChumbaCasino.com has over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
With Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to... Has anyone seen the bride and groom?
Sorry, we're here. We were getting lucky in the limo and we lost track of time.
No, Lucky Land Casino, with cash prizes that add up quicker than a guest registry.
In that case, I pronounce you lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Daily bonuses are waiting. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Read music? Do you get in any of that, reading music?
I can read a little bit of music. I never started out that way. I learned off YouTube rock songs, so not really. But I started a little bit. I tried to learn when I was younger, and I never really took to it. But then I figured that the only real way for me to learn is just to throw myself in the deep end, the same way I did with piano and bass and like all these things. So I figured it'd be the same thing. So I signed up for like I said, my town has a great music program, and the district has a good music program. So we have a big musical. And in middle school, I used to do the plays and stuff, and it was fun. But for the, it's such a big time commitment. I don't really do it now because I'm too busy with this music stuff. I can't really. But anyway, I signed up for the pit band, and I played guitar. And usually they hire musicians for it, but I did it, and I'm glad they trusted me to do it. And I think I did everything right. But that's all notated music. So I figured that's the only way. He's going to give it to me a month in advance, and I have a month to read and figure this out. So I did it. And so I'm still not a great sight reader. I know a lot of musicians, you throw music in front of them and they could immediately play it. I could get by, but I'm not. And then I'm taking a class in school this year called it's Advanced Placement Music Theory. So it's like a college level course for music theory. And so that really threw me in the deep end as well. So I'm getting there. Fascinating.
Unbelievable. You've covered Incident on 57th Street?
I have, yeah.
That is that goes way back into the Springsteen catalog. What is it about that song that it seems like it has an impact on you? And I played that live.
Something that really, the first time I heard that song was actually not even Bruce playing it. It was when I went to England for that gig. I met so many amazing people out there, and so many people I'm still in contact with, but a lot of people that I'm not in contact with anymore just because I didn't know them that well. But whatever. But I still think about those people a lot. And I have a friend I met there named Jerry, and he used to be in a Springsteen tribute band over there. And I know a lot of Springsteen cover groups and and Tom Petty and all these cover groups, but Jerry just had I guess he still does, but has such a natural Springsteen voice, and there's a lot of great cover bands here in the US too, but over there, like I remember like, and he was such a nice guy, and we just had such a great time together, I think at least. And he played that song during sound check for we did a show, and he was going to play a set, and then I was going to play a couple songs in between, and then he was going to play another set. And he did that as a sound check, and then he did that for the actual show, and I was just mesmerized by him playing that. So when I came home, I looked it up, and I like Bruce's version a ton too. So that song is the one I kind of equate to my time in England, but also I really like the writing in that song, of course, and the story and everything like that.
Yeah, it's just beautiful. And I like how you cover that one as well. It's just, I'm like, oh my gosh, here's a 16-year-old digging way back into the Springsteen catalog, pre-Born to Run. And it's just really, really, it really deserved a lot more notice. And it did later on, but it probably deserved a whole lot more notice. Especially that early catalog, the Stone Pony days. What's it like at the Stone Pony? It just sounds so legendary.
It's really cool. It's kind of it's interesting. You can kind of feel the energy in it. It's hard to describe, but when you're in there, you can really be like, wow, this is the place, and place he talks about and everyone talks about. And so, being in there is, it's really cool. I have my Stone Pony shirt. I wear it from time to time, and I kind of grew out of it now, but next time I'm there, maybe I'll get another one. And it's a really cool place to be and play and everything like that.
Did you read Bruce's autobiography?
I did, yeah. I have to give it another read now that I'm a little older. Maybe pick up on some more things, but I did read it when it came out. But I was probably only like 13 around that time or something, so I will again.
Yeah, I always call that the cliff notes to his life, because it's like the catalog is so deep, and he's probably a lot like the same. You have so many songs and you keep whittling them down. And then he has all this stuff that never made the albums, so they make their own albums later on, because he's really in, and that's the thing. I hope like people like you bring back the concept of the album, a collection, 10, 12, 13 songs, and there's a theme, and it's a real capture in time. I really do miss that.
I do too. I love it. Whenever a new album comes out, what I always do is I always buy the vinyl, because it comes with a digital download anyway. So, it might be $15 more than just the actual digital download, but I don't mind. And I put it behind me, and that's just what I like to do. So the first listen is always through the record player, and I always really pay attention to the order of their albums, and I really paid attention to the order of mine as well. And it sounds silly because I'm only, for the most part right now, I'm only offering it as a digital download. I don't have the CDs, although I'm working on that. But I'm not offering it as a vinyl or anything. But I literally, when I was I was thinking, okay, well, this would be the end of side one. How should that end? Even though no one's ever gonna probably listen to it that way other than me, because it's not side one or side two. It's just on your phone. But that is really how I thought about it, and I don't really know why. But I said, all right, let me end with a song that's good enough for them to want to flip it over, And even though no one's gonna do that because you don't have to, that's just kind of how I looked at it. I guess just because I listen to so much vinyl when a new album comes out.
It's a real visceral experience. I remember just getting those albums, and those with the gatefold as well. It just to have that in your hands and see the lyrics, and you can't replace that. And everybody knows that you can't replace that with digital. Mm-hmm. Although if digital is portable, that's wonderful. I always point that out. It's great you could take it with you, which you couldn't in the old days.
Yeah. You just look really funny with it,
The closest we came, this was in the late 70s, probably going to the early 80s, was 8-track. And Radio Shack had the portable 8-track player, but they were, they would chop up the songs, and the Walkman definitely made it better. And when we got into the early 80s, it was definitely better. Way predates you.
Yeah, I started out with YouTube. I guess I jumped over that. I've never been into. I guess my generation, I think, is kind of interested in vinyl. I think I'm not exactly sure. I don't listen to too much, like, I guess, quote, like, new music, other than the new music from the old artists. But I think I think there are still artists that release vinyl and special art in it now and stuff, just to, I guess, to get more people to buy it instead of downloading it, But I think they release special. I don't know who, but I saw someone did that, like special art inside the cover you can get, or
Yeah, it's definitely needed with a release to just get that artwork with it and the photographs. And I like to see making of albums. Bruce Springsteen did the documentary with the latest project. Have you heard the new Paul McCartney album that just came out?
I haven't yet, but I want to. I saw a video of it was a very short video, but it was him in the studio holding a Telecaster, and he was just smiling and strumming it, and it sounded really cool. So I want to see it. I just haven't gotten around to it yet.
Another legacy artist who was able to knock that out during COVID, and probably one of his most spectacular albums. It's fascinating if you ever get a hold of that. And I know there's a vinyl version of that as well.
Oh, awesome. I'll have to go on Amazon, and that's usually where I find the vinyls. But I looked at a lot of vinyls when just trying to figure out how I'm going to design the cover of this record. I don't. It's funny because, just the way it worked is before COVID and everything, I used to get a haircut every 3 months or so. Just how it fell. And so I got a haircut in January, and so I wasn't due until maybe late March, and all the haircut places were closed, and so I didn't trust my dad or something to cut my hair, even though he did a good job on his own. I'll give him credit. But I didn't want him to touch mine. So I waited.
Okay, round 2. Name something that's not boring.
A laundry? Ooh, a book club. Computer solitaire, huh?
Ah, sorry. We were looking for Chumba Casino. That's right. ChumbaCasino.com has over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
And in April they were closed, and May or whatever. And by May it was just long-ish,
Yeah.
And so I kind of left it, and then it just became a thing. I haven't gotten a haircut since January, so we're coming up on a year. It used to be really short. And so anyway, when we're thinking about pictures for the cover of the album, I started the idea that I'm going to release an album this year in April. And so the first thing we did was pick a picture for the cover. That picture did not work anymore. I looked so much younger. My hair was so short, so we had to get new pictures. So I was really looking at other albums and what did they do and why are they standing like that or whatever. and see what works. So I looked at a lot of vinyl for that, and the back covers, of course, too.
Yeah, very good release. Would you like to do one more song?
Sure. Yeah. You want another original?
Yeah, definitely the originals. I don't know if I want to do any covers and deal with it.
Sure, sounds good.
I
Wasn't sure if you wanted Incident.
But yeah, anything of your choice, yeah.
All right. This one I'll do is this is the second track on the record, and this is one called Hold On to It Tight. Actually, before I play it, I'll just say this song went through so many key changes. I wrote it in C, and because a lot of times what happens is I'll write a song at night or early in the morning or something, and so I'm kind of singing quiet. I don't want to wake anyone up. And so when I'm singing quiet, I sing really high, and then I always have to bring them down. So I wrote this in C, now I'm playing it in F. So it's it's a lot lower, but anyway, I just thought that was funny. But funny how the open doors are the ones that slam your face. You always find the biggest head looking in the smallest place. Yeah, well, the heavier your crown gets, the easier it'll fall off your head. So hold on to it tight. What you're wishing for, you need to know you can only get so much more. Well, somewhere inside your mind, you're the greatest of your time, but try not to fall behind when you think you're done. The vacation starts. No one's done doing their part. You don't know what you're looking for, you just know that it hasn't been found. Never really happy unless you're living like the past is still around. Yeah, but all you ever do is take. Everything you have just might escape. So hold on to it tight. Oh, careful what you're wishing for. You need to know you can only get so much more. Well, somewhere inside your mind, you're the greatest of your time. So try to fall behind when you think you're done and the vacation starts. Well, no one's done doing their part. I try my best to live the right way, but I still haven't figured it out. Sometimes looking for answers is like trying to find a friend inside a ghost town. But I know he ain't doing it right. Barely happy going to sleep at night. Well, you better hold on to that tight. What you're wishing for, you need to know you can only get so much more. Somewhere one's done doing their part. Yeah, well, the heavier your crown gets, the easier it'll fall off your head. So hold on to it tight. Hold on to it tight. Hold on to it tight. Hold on to it tight.
Awesome.
Thank you so
Very
much.
well done. Excellent. So what's the future for you? You have your sights set on full-time music, going to college for a bit?
Yeah, well, I would like to do music full time if I can, in any capacity. Really, that doesn't mean getting huge and famous or whatever. Just if I can do it, I'd love to. Whether it's being a professional songwriter or, I don't know, anything really. In the music industry, I really like doing music, so I'm hoping I could do it forever. If I can't support myself just doing music, then I really like history, so I could teach history. I'll go to college and get a degree for history probably, and have that just kind of as my backup plan. But music is my first choice. But I think I'd have fun, being a teacher or something too. But like I said, music is number one for sure.
Yeah, Sting, I believe, was a history teacher as Gordon Sumner. For he hit it big. But yeah, that's you have a lot of good choices within New Jersey as well to attend school somewhere in there.
Yeah, for sure. This is really the age where I should really start thinking about it.
Well, best wishes to you. Best wishes for your future. And this is a great new release down the line, available on your website and anywhere else. Can you go to Amazon and order it there?
Not yet, but soon. Right now, it's only available on the website, but soon I'll make sure it's up on that. And then eventually, I'm going to start putting it up on streaming services as well. Probably sometime after the new year, I'll put up some songs, and then eventually I'll put more on there. I wanted to do it just through the website first. That way, everyone I could just it's one place I can direct people, and they can get it from there. But and they can listen to the whole album too. You know what I mean? They could, download the whole album instead of just, a song here or a song there. But eventually I'll start putting it up there as well. But right now, just on jakethistle.com.
I would recommend downloading the entire album. You get the full feel for it.
I appreciate it.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for joining me this evening.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. This was a great time.
Best wishes. Take care.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
You too.
Hello, Saver. Whether you're saving for that trip to the tropics or saving for an emergency, now is the time to take advantage of Wells Fargo's savings options. Wells Fargo offers savings accounts that can help you save towards your goals. So, what are you saving for? Visit a Wells Fargo branch or wellsfargo.com/save to open a savings account today.
Wells Fargo Bank, N.A., member FDIC.